welcome, welcome. Shh, you want to hear a secret? Today, I'm going to tell you the real truth about medicine and things that you need to know before you go to the doctor next time. There's so many beans that I want to spill, and I don't think I could squeeze it all in here right now, but I'm going to try to do a lot of it. If you're tuning in right now live, please drop us in the comments where you're tuning in from. We have the capabilities to stream your comments live. If you're watching on the YouTube, definitely click that like and subscribe button for more. Wow, there's so much going on. I don't even know where to begin. We're going to talk about the real truth about medicine. There is so much that you guys need to know. I've been a licensed healthcare provider for over 30 years. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Shayna Melissa Stockman. I've been a registered nurse for well over 30, a board certified nurse practitioner, almost as long. And there's so many secrets within my 30 plus year healthcare career that people that are not in the healthcare really don't know. And I think we need to enlighten you on some of those things. So I wanted to tell you, do some myth busting, tell you some, no, they're not related to, your family history. And I said to this lady, I said, wait, do you have autoimmune disorders by a close relative? And she said, yes. And I said, see, so your doctor's not always right. I love some doctors. I'm not here to bash them, but please do your own research, be your own advocate. And then in talking further with this new client of mine, I realized her autoimmune, check this out, this is wild. Her autoimmune started since she tore a ligament. And then I was taking further history and I realized she tore. And what happens is her body says, whoa, I'm getting a foreign thing to me. It's not supposed to be here. I'm going to fight it. And then bam, her autoimmune disorder kicked in and started. So, and I think ever since the pandemic, that's why we're having such an uproar of autoimmune disorders. Think about it. You're getting, we got to watch what we say here. You're getting that protection into your deep in your muscle, and that's DNA from someone else, right? Something else. And that DNA and RNA into your body is your body saying, whoa, this is foreign, it's not supposed to be here. And your body is creating a lot of times an autoimmune disorder. That's why I believe we're seeing a huge uproar in autoimmune disorders since the pandemic. A lot of people had this put into their body, which is foreign DNA and RNA that's not from them. And their body said, whoa, it's not supposed to be here, and kind of attacked itself. And that's part of the reason we're seeing an uproar. But I wanted to talk about so many real truths today that I don't even know where to begin because there's so many of them. This was one of them. This is why I believe we're seeing a huge uproar in autoimmune disorders. Then oh my god, so think about it like this. You ever know, so hear somebody that got an organ transplant, right? They're on 10, 15, or even 20 anti-rejection drugs so their body doesn't fight the foreign genes and foreign RNA and DNA, right? Same thing that happened with that lady with the ligament that she got it from a cadaver. Her body was seeing that foreign gene and saying, whoa, I have to protect my immune system. And same when people get this, they're getting genes that are not theirs. Their body is made to protect itself and fighting. And there's so many other things. And don't get me started with these, these kids nowadays. That's the truth. Did you hear that? So I wanted to enlighten you about this and the autism rates now. And, think about it. That newborn baby, day one, they're given a few of these. Okay. Day one. Day one. Now, day one, they're given a hepatitis B protection. Now, the odds are most of their parents probably already had this for hepatitis B and are immune and show immunity on the blood test. And Hep B is called blood to blood contact from IV drug abusers mostly and unprotected sexual intercourse. So, do you think that newborn baby really needs the Hep B protection on day one? Do you think they're really having unprotected sex or IV drug abuse? No. So there's so many of these. I counted the average child between birth and starting kindergarten, pre-K, is getting about 47 different ones of these. 47 nowadays. 47. That's not the case when we went to school. Two, three, maybe we had MMR and a chicken pox. So the average child now, 0 to 5, is getting 47 of these. And if you're counting the flu protection and the virus, they're getting another at least half a dozen, because that's another flu one every year for those 5 years, and another virus one for another five, years every year. So check this out. This is early to 2024, and this is per National Council of Severe Autism. This is not counting very functional high autistic children at all. So this is showing the rapid increase from the 1990s and even the 1980s. Every year it's increasing the autism rates higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher to, I remember when I grew up in the 70s, I'm lucky if I remember seeing one child that was autistic. So look at how much every single year the autistic rates are raising dramatically. And you know what else is raising dramatically? The number of requirements for these kids. Do you think there's a correlation between the number of requirements going up and the autism rates going up? There you can clearly see from 1989, this was just in California alone, from 1989 to this past April, the dramatic rise from practically zero to 200,000 plus. And now check this out. Like I said, when in the 70s, I remember maybe seeing one autistic child with autism. Look at that, 1 in 36 now. Do you think the dramatic increase from us as children needing maybe a handful of these to the children now being forced to get over 47 of these before, when they're still pre-K, and the rising autism rates, do you think there's a connection? There's heavy metals in these. We know they're linked to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, neurological disorders. That's all I want to say about that. So just keep in mind. Now, think about it like this. Do you think, you know why they're targeting the kids? Think about it like this. They get a child sick now, the sick care system has a client for the next 70 plus years of their health span. You see, if they get a 72-year-old sick and their average health span is, say, 77, they only have a client for a few years. But you know what? They get a child sick, they have them for 7 decades. Now, check this out. This is per the CDC requirements. This is age 0 from birth to age 4 to 5, 6 years old, pre K. I count these up. There is 47 requirements. Plus, if your child decides to get this every year for the flu, that's another 5 or 6 before pre-K. And if they get another one of these for the Rona every year since birth to pre-K, that's another 5 or 6 of these. That's another dozen on top of the 47 mandated. That's, I don't know, 57, 67, 67, 70. We're in the 70s now. Oh my God. So that's all I want to say about this. Please, I'm not saying I'm against this at all. Just know which ones are truly mandated and which ones aren't. I don't believe a newborn baby day one needs protection against hepatitis B, because I don't think they're going to be an IV drug user or have sexual intercourse. Okay. So know which ones are really required, when they aren't. Ask your doctor, pros, cons, your healthcare provider, your nurse practitioner. Space them out if they're required. Don't get 3 in 1, like DTaP. Space them out. Don't have your child get more than one at a time. I believe it's too much heavy metals in one shot for them. So I don't want to go on a rant on this, but that's all I want to say about that. Okay, next, what else are we going to talk about? We talked about cadavers and ligaments. Hi, Elizabeth, watching from Michigan. How are you doing? There's so many other things I wanted to talk about. Now, think about it. When we saw a lot of people get this since the pandemic, right? And each and every year. And we know there was a lot of problems. This had some RNA, DNA in it, genes that were not normal for our body, that our body attacked it and created and triggered autoimmune disorders in a lot of people. And I do know that that protection we were given is targeting mitochondria in our cells, and most of them live in our heart. And that's why a lot of people got heart problems. There's so much more to it, and so much more that I say in real life that I won't say here right now, that I have to talk in code. So that's all I want to say on this. Then what else do I want to say? Kids, I can't believe they're, let's move on to this. Oh, this is another good hot topic story here. Now, I was recently telling a client, listen, I choose my patients over my profits and your wellness over my wallet. I truly want to get you better and feeling better so you're independent of me and no longer need me and just want a Shayna tweak. But there's too many out there that are not doing the right thing. I don't want to generalize, they're not all bad, but there's a lot of ones out there. I just gave an example the other day to a new client of mine. I said, listen, I can tell you you need chemotherapy when you don't. I just had a young man come to me, ulcerative colitis, and doctors stuck him on a medication and it was chemotherapy. They're giving chemotherapy for autoimmune disorders. Why? The markup is huge. I'm just making up the numbers now, but say I get the chemo for 1,000. I sell it to your insurance carrier for 11,000. I made 10,000. I'm scaring you, telling you you need it immediately, you need it every single month, and you need it for years to come. So what did I just do? I don't do this, but I'm just saying, if I did that, I would be assuring that you had the fear in you. You came back every single month. I made at least 100K off you alone and for years to come. And that's what a lot of the doctors, not all, they're not all bad, are doing. Here's one doctor in particular. He was telling patients they had cancer when they didn't and giving them chemotherapy. Not only that, one man had his testicle removed and it wasn't even cancer. The greed of some of these doctors is insane. So please, the moral of the story here is get a second opinion, get a third opinion. I will give you an unbiased, real opinion. I will choose your wellness over my wallet. I will choose my patients over the profits. So if you're told that you need chemo, I'm not saying you don't. Get a second opinion, get a third opinion, not in the same practice, not a doctor that's friends with that doctor. Reach out to me for a private video consultation, even if you're in another state or country. So this doctor was making millions off of people telling some of them they had cancer when they didn't. Some of the patients died from the chemotherapy. One man had his testicle removed. Oh my God, I just can't. It's bad enough that doctors were pushing this for bonuses that they were getting. They were getting higher bonuses and kickbacks from insurance carriers if they had 50% protected, 75% protected, 100% protected. Okay, so there clearly a lot of them are choosing their wallet over you. I had another story before we move on to the next slide. I would say this: in the past year, I had two doctors, two different surgeons, try to take my body parts that were not needed, okay? Not needed. The surgeries were not needed, okay? One wanted to take my appendix, and I wasn't even having appendix pain. Please get a second opinion, get a third opinion. Another one, they instilled the fear of God in you, right? They said, oh my God, your uterine lining is so thick, it must be cancer. Let's take it out. Let's take the ovaries too. This is what a doctor told me this past year. You know what? I got a second opinion, and my uterine lining is so super thin. I have a 0.0001% chance of being malignant. Okay, so please, guys, I'm passionate about this. I want you to reach out to me for a video consultation. I do not have a financial investment one way or another in what I tell you. Now, oh, here's another recent doctor. He actually, I knew this one. So a lot of doctors on Long Island, in New York, and a lot of other states were charged with and pled guilty to and sentenced for fraud. Now, this one in particular created almost $1 million in profit from kickbacks. He actually was just sentenced, I think, this past month or so. Now, why wouldn't doctors do this? He made almost $1 million, but you know what his penalty is? 250,000. So he was actually, per the research that I did, making up symptoms that patient had, falsifying documents, diagnosing them with things they may not have had, to order tests that they did not need to get a kickback. He did this particular doctor from, I think, 2013 to 2019 or so, made almost $1 million, was, I think, just sentenced. I don't know what the sentence was. Innocent till proven guilty is my motto. I dare you guys look up doctors that committed fraud in New York and see if one of your former ones was on the list. What he did was he made up signs, symptoms that they had, diagnoses that maybe they didn't have. And I'm saying this as doctors in general. This is what a bunch of them did, not just this particular one. Is they exacerbated signs and symptoms patient had, made up diagnoses that maybe they didn't really have, to order testing they didn't need to get a kickback. that particular doctor made $100 kickback per test. So how many tests did he order that were not needed to make almost $1 million? Now that's Medicare fraud, Medicaid fraud, fraud on the veterans. It's a shame. It's disgusting. Okay, that's all I want to say about that one. I know him. Oh my God, I wish I could say so much more, but I don't want to do that. So please, guys, drop us where you're watching from. Yes, you need to trust your provider. And then when people went to providers like this, and then they come to me, they might have a trust issue in the beginning, and I understand that, and that's okay. I'm going to help you walk through that. So, oh my God, there's so much more I want to say. Um, what else? Jeez, it goes on and on. I've had okay, I have another story. I had a patient that I saw at the surgery center. I was like, oh, I used to work with her. Hey, how you doing? Oh, my doctor loves me so much. He cares about me so much. He makes sure he does my endoscopy and colonoscopy every 6 months. No, it's probably because your insurance allows that every 6 months. Now, after I told this person who was on pills for stomach acid, I said, wait, why don't you just stop your coffee then when you don't need the pills for the stomach acid? And when you don't have the symptoms, you don't need the pills and the scopes for the symptoms that you don't have. And then that was the end of that. And then I've had others similar. Um, let's see. I had two of my own doctors in the past when I had pain from my own autoimmune disorders, that one of them realized that I wasn't needing pain pills anymore because I wasn't in pain anymore. And a lot of our mutual patients weren't needing to go to the pain doctor anymore. So the two doctors split the practice up. The one that's saw the positivity in what I was doing became my client, and the other one doesn't want to know what I did because he looked at his business expanding. And if his patients didn't need to come in every month for pain pills, then he would lose business. Okay. Then I had another one. Oh, I'm going to talk about reclaim your life in 1 second here. I had another doctor. I had a suspicious lesion on my back. By the time I went in for a biopsy, I couldn't see it. It was no longer there. The doctor was thrilled. I used something to activate my genes and it had no bleaching ingredients in it. The doctor was so impressed, but he's like, we don't really practice that kind of stuff because you know what? Now he lost out on a biopsy and a removal. So yeah, let's show that reclaim again. I want you guys to be able to reclaim your life. This is back by popular demand. I did one last month. It was such a hot topic that had a great turnout for it. We brought it back by popular demand, but this is new and improved and absolutely free while there are still free seats available. It's Reclaim Your Life, Power Hour, Zoom, backed by popular demand. It is Thursday, I believe, March 27th, 7 p.m. EST till 8 p.m. It is on Zoom. Only those registered will have access. We're going to drop more secrets exposed there and more truths about the medical center. So mark your calendar, Thursday, March 27th, 7 p.m. EST, but you have to register. Just go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. And if you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button. Okay, I hope to see you there on Reclaim. What else did I want to say? Oh, this is another hot topic. Nurses again are ready to strike in New York, especially at that big, huge monopoly called, the North Pole, we'll say. um, it's in the US, a president can't have more than 2 terms, right? But the president of this North system has been the president for over 20 years. Now, the staffing is so minimal that it's unsafe for the patients. And a lot of the hospitals are going through this. And there are nurses ready to work, but the hospitals don't want to hire them. They want to try to cut costs. So a lot of the nurses are ready to strike. They're trying to strike up a deal now. This North system has the same president for over 20 years. I Googled his salary. In 2021, it was 7.7 mil plus salaries, perks, and bonuses. God knows what the perks and the bonuses were for. And his few executive VPs each made multiple millions as well per year. And I was just thinking, and a nurse I spoke to this week told me her CEO of her hospital makes $20 million a year. Now, I think if you just fire that CEO You have an extra $20 million a year. You can get a lot more staff. And then the nurses are happy. The patients are safer. They're suing less. The nurses are happier. There's less turnover, less having to rehire, retrain. So I say, you know what? Just fire the CEOs and get more staff. um, then I had big oncology practice that said to me, knows a lot of my cancer warriors are getting so much better, and was amazed at the results, but then told me, we don't practice that type of medicine. What type is that? The type that gets them well, where they don't need chemo for a 10 grand markup every single month? Come on, people, wake up, America! Smell the coffee. I also recently went to a mammography center, and they have these deodorant wipes to get your deodorant off before your mammo, and they contain paraben, which is a known hormone disruptor. And depending on the study, some studies showed it's carcinogenic as well. What are we doing, people? In Europe, they only order mammos every few years because the mammo is radiation, even though it's low dose. I'm not saying not to go for them. Weigh the pros, cons out, discuss it with your licensed healthcare provider. I know I'm rambling, but there's so many topics that I really wanted to discuss today. Um, if you guys have a hot topic you want me to throw up there, let me know. Fluoride's another one. Thank God one of the states finally took the fluoride out of their water. Yes, 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 yes. You know, fluoride's tied to heavy metals. Adults don't need it in our toothpaste. That's why it says do not swallow, right? Don't give it to a kid. I use distilled water it because it takes out that fluoride. I don't use fluoride toothpaste at all. And, for the ladies that are suffering with autoimmune, I had autoimmune problems. The meds are made to treat symptoms, not root causes. They're made to just keep you coming back again and again and again. If they fix your problem, they lose your client as a client, right? So, ladies out there, I want you to know autoimmune disorders are one of the top leading causes of death in the US, but yet so are the prescription drugs we're used to treat them. In fact, two of my recent rheumatoid clients, actually out of three of them, two of them developed cancer from the autoimmune meds. So autoimmune meds might help your symptoms. They can create cancers, permanent irreversible blindness, and even death. So it's important to know the pros, the cons, and ask your licensed healthcare provider, is there a natural, safer alternative with less consequences and less interactions? Drug interactions for prescription drugs is a leading cause of death, even people that use them correctly as prescribed. I know it's important. My grandpa was a pharmacist and died of a lethal drug interaction. Okay, this is serious, not to be taken lightly. Um, what else can I tell you? Like I said, I choose the patients over profits. Chemo markup, knowing if you have autoimmune disorder and you're given a med, ask your doctors, this is chemotherapy, because now they're pushing chemotherapy meds for autoimmune disorders because the markup is huge and they can get you coming back month after month. I'm going to mention Reclaim Your Life because it popped up again. It is time for you to reclaim your life. You are worthy. You are deserving to reclaim your life. There's, like, I don't know, hundreds of hours in a month. You're deserving of this just 1 hour for you. It is live, it is interactive, it is productive, it is on Zoom, it is not on here. You can only access it when you register. It's different from last month. It's new, it's improved. There's a lot of new content. So if you came last month and you enjoyed it, come back again. You ever watch a movie a second time? You learn a lot more. It's just go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. Claim your free seat now if you can. If you want to level up to VIP, you can. You get an extra power hour on Zoom for Q&A, digital and printable workbook, and replay access for, I think, $47. That's insane. And a mini consultation with me. I do want to wrap this up soon, but there's so many other points I didn't even mention. We're going to have to do part 2 of this, maybe next Wednesday on the Shayna Show, and more at the Reclaim Your Life. Oh, there's my book. I don't know why it popped up, but okay. If you don't have a copy already, it reached #1 international bestseller. You can get it at worldwellnessexpert.com/OLO. Reach out to me for a personalized signed copy. I will choose patients over profits, and your wellness over my wallet. I can guarantee you that. Those of you that know me, I don't I underpromise, I overdeliver. I tell you less than you need. I don't try to oversell you more than you need. So please reach out. There's not too many healthcare providers th- that are easy to find in insurance, anymore, that are really out for your own wellness. It's important. What else did I want to say? Um, there's so much. Oh my God. Always get a second and a third opinion from not that same practice where you have the first opinion. Don't tell the second opinion what the first opinion said. You want it unbiased. Reach out to me for another opinion. Do your own research. Come in with a list of questions written down, a pen and a paper. Go to the doctor or your nurse practitioner during the middle of the week and the middle of the day when you can get more time and they're not slammed at night on the weekends. Um, you know, there's so much. I'm just reading the comments. Drop us where you're watching from. And, I look at it like this. I was just looking back on my life and how medications almost killed me several times. Let's see, I was given compazine for nausea after surgery, closed up my throat. I couldn't breathe. I was given a pain pill after another surgery. The hospital overdosed me. I never woke up, almost never woke up. Another medication gave me nerve pain, neuropathy, which is usually impossible to reverse, but I can do that. Another medication affected my kidney function, an antibiotic for a UTI. Oh my God, gave me muscle weakness, affected my kidney function. And there's so many others that, know the pros and cons. Don't jump to a medication so quickly when there might be a healthier alternative. So I'm not opposed when we need them. We often don't need them. When it comes to surgery, always get a second or third opinion. If you need a ligament repaired, make sure you get it from your own body, not a cadaver, so you don't stimulate an autoimmune disorder. Even though an autoimmune disorder might run in your family, it doesn't mean you're going to have it unless you're exposed to a trigger that may come out, like that new client that got a ligament from a cadaver. There's so many stories that just insane. Do the reclaim, go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim, register for that, subscribe to this YouTube, give it a thumbs up, a like, a heart. Know that the meds can harm you, but they can also hurt you. There it is again, backed by Popular Man. Mark your calendar. Thursday, March 27th, 7 p.m. EST, 1 hour. You're worthy, you're deserving. Mark your calendar, but you got to register to get the Zoom link and passcode at worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim. Come back here. I think we're going to do part 2 of this next week because I have so many more brainstorming ideas that I didn't even touch on that would totally blow your mind. Um, I want to give a very special shout out to a fellow nurse that just jumped on board for your wellness journey 90-day program with me because she knows that I know my stuff. Like this one nurse that just jumped on board for the 90-day program. I said to her, she has lupus, skin rashes. I said, wait, garlic can cause a flare up. So you're trying to eat healthy, you're eating more garlic, but in lupus patients, it can actually cause a flare up. So little things like this to move your needle forward, to help you, that things that the doctors aren't going to tell you. They go to medical school to practice medicine, and we know who sponsors those schoolings and that education, right? And that's what they learn. There's not a plant-based sponsor in medical school that's teaching them what to say. So get your second opinion, get your third opinion, do your own research, reach out to me for a consult, join the reclaim. um Oh my God, I think I squeezed in so much. And I think, let me just see some more comments. Yes, yes. And I want to welcome the new people to the group. If you're joining my Facebook group, you got to answer the questions and agree to the terms, the rules, that, you're going to be nice and kind and not share things outside the group, or you're not getting in. That's simple. So if you replied and you didn't get accepted into the private group, make sure you answer a few quick questions. And I hope to see you next Wednesday, same time, same place, where we're going to drop some more really awesome truth bombs. So subscribe, like, follow, subscribe, go to worldwellnessexpert.com/reclaim and join the Reclaim Your Life while you still can.
Finding the strength deep inside. Shayna, Melissa, take takes us on this ride from suffering to a life so free. Her healing touch she'll set you free with a heart